What up, everybody? Raising Kanan Season 2, we were introduced to a young man who Unique saved in jail, Marco Baselli, whose father was Sal Baselli, a boss in the Italian mafia. At the same time, Rock was having problems with Sal trying to expand her operation to Jersey. Then after Unique had been out for a minute, he ended up working something out between Saul and Rock, allowing her to move her operation to Jersey, as long as Unique was the person running the New Jersey trap. And it was at this meeting when Marvin hooked up with Marco and later arranged a meeting to talk some business. Marvin wanted Marco to take care of his rat problem, Tony Deep, up in Marco's neck of the woods. Marco agreed to do the hit, but he didn't want his father knowing anything about it, and that is violation of proper mafia protocol. Before doing a job, one must check in with the boss, because the fact the boss gets a cut of everything and would also have to approve yes or no whether to go forward with the hit. So we know if Marvin would have talked to Sal about this, Sal would not have given the job to Marco, but a more experienced hitter. But Marco took the job and got killed in the process. Then the person Marco was with told Sal that Marvin was the one who hired them for the job. This started a war between the Jersey Italian crew and Rock's crew, which came to an end Season 3, Episode 2, when Marvin smoked Sal at Sal's grandson Marco's baby christening at the orders of the top mafia boss Stefano Marchetti via Rock. Fast forward 25 years later, and Tommy Egan is meeting his Italian mafia family for the first time after finding out mafia legend Tony Teresi, aka the Demon of Bella Boulevard, was actually his biological father. Tommy was walking into the spot with his father's closest friend, Sammy. And Sammy was telling Tommy that back in the day, him and Teresi were the most vicious hitters in New York. And Tommy responded by asking Sammy who holds that title now. As they were walking past two guys working on a car. And Sammy said, that's two of them right there, Carmine and Marco. So Tommy went in and made arrangements for Vincent to take 75% of his product off his hands. And on his way out, Tommy hollered at the two hitters, Carmine and Marco, to see if they would be able to take out Dre for him. But Marco immediately replied to Tommy that everything they do goes through Vincent. But then Tommy offered Marco $60K for one hit. And Marco replied, make it $80K and you have yourself a deal. And the deal was made. But the problem was, Tommy only wanted them to grab Dre so he could smoke Dre himself. But when they grabbed Dre, he was able to reach his pistol and killed Carmine on the spot and badly injured Marco, who also died a few hours later, leaving Tommy in a mess with Vincent because come to find out that Marco was none other than Vincent's godson. So the obvious question here is this Marco, who was killed by Dre, Sal Baselli's grandson? And my answer is, I believe so. I don't think it's a coincidence that they would be around the same age and both named Marco, especially this being the Power universe, and also how both father and son were killed in the exact same type of way by breaking rank. And Vincent wasn't that much older than Marco for him to be his godfather, but nonetheless he was. And in the mafia, when you take over as a boss, you also somewhat assume that title. So most likely in the current Raising Kanan timeline, Vincent is around Kanan's age, give or take a few years. And there's a very good chance that Vincent was best friends with Marco, or maybe even a cousin who Marco was very close to, who took on the responsibility of godfather after baby Marco's grandfather, Saul, was killed. Also keep in mind that Vincent's father was the boss before him, because we've heard Tony Teresi complain about Vincent being spoiled and that he was selfish like his father, who most likely takes over as boss for Sal. And this is where the story takes a turn, the Tony Teresi timeline. In Power Season 5, Tony Teresi got released to be an informant after serving 25 years of a 51-year sentence for 1 count of manslaughter and 1 count of second-degree murder. And he was 68 years old at the time he was released. So if we subtract 25 years from the year 2018, and we would have Tony Teresi locked up in the year 1993, the same year we are currently in on the Raising Kanan timeline. And I keep having people in the comments challenging me on this timeline, saying it's still 91 or 92. But you gotta listen to the music that's playing during the show, and the best indicator was how Ice Cube's song, Today Was a Good Day, was playing in the trap house in the season 2 finale. And a simple Google search will tell you that song wasn't released until 1993. But either way you look at it, 92 or 93, the bottom line is that Tony Teresi is still in the streets and is considered the most dangerous hitter in the whole mafia during this time. Also keep in mind that Teresi was also originally from Queens. But we also know that he still has ties to Jersey because of the fact he met Kate Egan while she was dancing at Atlantic City. So with that said, if Tony Teresi isn't brought up in this storyline, the writers are missing a perfect opportunity to give us some more backstory on Teresi. Also keep in mind that Teresi got locked up for killing 2 people at the orders of the family. So this could be a huge significance if either one of these 2 characters are in our current Raising Kanan storyline. Getting me to, will the Thomas family have to change their name? Because in Power, we know that Jukebox's name was no longer Laverne Thomas, but that she had her last name changed to Ganner. For what reason would Jukebox have to change her last name? And did the rest of the Thomas family change their names also? Is this why when Kanan was killed, that the news report said that he had no living next to kin? And why Tariq had to pick up his ashes from the morgue? But what would cause the Thomas family to take on a new identity? And I believe that this will be Marvin killing Sal Baselli. Keep in mind the original reason Tommy Egan left New York to go to California before coming home to fake his death and ending up in Chicago. This is because it was no longer safe for him in New York after killing Mafia Capo Benny Civillo, then later wiping out Vincent and his crew before leaving town. Stefano told Rock that the other families were in agreement in taking out Saul. But this isn't the truth. A boss can be taken out if all the other bosses agree on it. So this lets us know that Stefano was on his renegade tip. And when it comes down to it, he will deny any involvement in the hit. Then there's the fact that most likely one of Sal's guards recognized Marvin, or the camera lady might even got a picture with Marvin in it. So with that said, I do believe that we haven't heard the end of this storyline, and be on the lookout for a younger Tony Teresi to enter the scene at some point this season. And one final thing before I go. Keep an ear out for the name Roberto Soletti. This is somebody Tony and Sammy killed that Ghost used this name to stop Tony from blackmailing him. And Soletti, by the sound of things, sounded like he was either a mafia boss or a capo. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.